Good morning, friends. Happy Wednesday. I hope your day is treating you well. Mine is treating me well so far. I'm getting off to a little bit of a later start. It's like 10:15 and I have been so sick. It's like my body is just like falling apart right now. I had a head cold, but then that head cold was causing like a really bad headache, and I couldn't decide should I take cold medicine or headache medicine. And then I've been trying to let my body rest, but then my body's like mad about that. My back's hurting, so it has been interesting. So I just took extra time this morning to do a little bit more yoga. I took a little bit of I took a headache medicine and I laid down for a little bit after I did my morning routine, which was exactly what I needed. My headache went away. I'm feeling much better. I'm even feeling better cold wise. So I feel like I did the right thing today by taking care of myself. It's starting a little bit late. But that being said, I'm ready to get started with my work day. It's a normal Wednesday over here. I am working from home today because I've been sick. I just don't really want to go into the co-work and get anyone else sick. And so I'm working from home. I'm so grateful to have our desks here. Working from home is it's so different than it used to be. I cannot tell you enough how happy I am about this office. Having a desk in our house is life-changing, because a lot of times as well, like I'm filming a ton of content that I don't want to just like film at the office. It doesn't feel the same as like filming at home. So it feels really, really good. I'm working at home mostly like Tuesdays and Thursdays now because it helps me I'm filming a lot more on those days. So I feel grateful. And yeah, let's go have a little conversation about productivity. So as I told you before, my back's been hurting, and I found that standing up while I work has helped me immensely with that in the past. So we're doing a stand-in day today, which I'm grateful for the option to do that. But today I wanted to share with you kind of a day in my life through the lens of my productivity habits. What do I do in order to be as productive as I can throughout the day? I really have been wanting to do this video for a long time because I have a little things that I do that help me a lot when it comes to working faster. And so when I talk about productivity, I want to be clear. I feel like I always have to give this disclaimer that I don't think like we need to be productive for productivity's sake, that your worth is not in like how much you can produce. More so, I think I want you to get through like your task list much faster so that you can actually take care of yourself and have more time for your friends, your family, nourishment, having fun. I love how much I'm able to create, but I also love how much I'm able to play and be free and not working all the time. The more we can be focused and productive, the more we can have fun. A couple of the things that I do every day, I have already done this morning because I did my morning routine. My morning routine is long and thorough and luxurious, and I do that because I want that. I think it's fun. I like to wake up early. It kind of comes naturally to me. But if you're not a morning person, don't feel like you need to have this like long, intense morning routine in order to be productive. I think there's just a couple of things you can add into your life that are gonna make it easier for you. Add them in wherever you want. I don't care. Like, I'm not invested in you waking up at 5 a.m. But I will share those with you. The 3 from the morning that I feel have the biggest impact on how much I can get done in a shorter amount of time. I guess it's the four things. Number 1 is my morning journaling practice. So this is probably the only one that is absolutely non-negotiable. I have to do every single day or something feels wrong. The way my mind works is that it feels like it has to hold on to everything all the time that it thinks, right? I remember that I need to buy milk at the store. I am worried that Obi's mad at me because he took a deep breath, you know, or my back is really bothering me and that's frustrating. My brain feels like I have a new idea for a business. You know, what if I do this product line thing or whatever? I have all these ideas and in these worries and these concerns, and I feel like I have to hold them all in my brain unless they get put on paper. Once they're put on paper, it's like I have a reprieve, at least for like the day. Maybe tomorrow I'll think it's important again, but for right then, it's able to rest. So I write it down. So if it's something that I need to remember to do, I put it on the appropriate to-do list. So if that is, I have an idea list, I have a big task list, like tasks that I know I want to get done sometime. The idea list is like ideas I have that I can't implement right now. I have a grocery list that's always in my notes on my phone that I write down if I remember something I need to get from the store. That way, like, I'm not holding any of this. My brain can be as free as possible to focus on the task at hand. That also includes, you know, fears, worries. I brain dump if I'm feeling really stressed and overwhelmed about something. I'll just sit down for like 10 seconds and write down everything I'm stressed and overwhelmed about. That way it's put somewhere. Something else is gonna hold it for a while. And that's kind of also my morning journaling practice. It's just getting everything that's in my head onto paper so that I can focus on what I need to do that day. The second thing I do in my morning routine is the morning tidy. I do this after I do all my little self-care habits before I get ready for the day. I just make sure all of my dishes are washed. I make the bed usually if I'm in that season where that feels important to me, and anything that could potentially make me want to clean when I could be working, I tidy up. It allows me the space to focus on what I have to do and not focus on all the things that I could be doing. So if I feel like having an unmade bed is going to make me feel like I'm focusing a lot on how messy our house is, I feel distracted, I'm gonna focus instead on, I'm gonna just get that done ahead of time so that, again, I can focus when it's time to focus. I do the same thing at the office. Like if you go into the office, like I'm not gonna have a messy desk, right? I'm gonna make sure my desktop is clean so that I can really focus on the tasks at hand. Third one, this is, I feel like old news at this point, this piece of advice, but I do think it's really important for me. When I'm working from home, I get dressed. And when I say get dressed, I don't mean I get dressed up. As you can see, I'm wearing like a full sweatsuit today. Like I'm just wearing sweats and socks, but I mean I change clothes. I change into clean, fresh clothes that aren't what I slept in the night before. This is so helpful because it just kind of triggers my brain to move from cozy self-care mode into task mode. And I really do feel like a shift in energy. Like once I finish breakfast and I go into the kitchen to clean up, it's almost like I change personalities. Like I go from this like calm, like introspective being to like, okay, now it's time to get things done. So I get things done, I get dressed, and then I'm ready to go. I rarely wear makeup or do my hair. Look, I just want to be really clear here. I'm wearing makeup today. That's just because I wore makeup yesterday for Valentine's Day, and I find that when I wear makeup, it makes me want to wear makeup more. So yeah, I just happened to wear makeup again today, but that's very, very rare for me. Normally I just do skincare, brush my teeth, put my hair in a bun. That's good enough for me. But I do think having clean, fresh clothes on, a freshly washed face, minty, fresh breath, it puts me in the mode of getting things done. Like it's a different energy. For the last morning routine item that I do is I do yoga in the morning. I do yoga every day, even if I'm gonna work out later. I just do a different kind of yoga. Like if I'm gonna work out later that day, I'll do just like very low to the ground, gentle stretching. If I'm not, I'll usually do more of like a flow, a gentle flow. That being said, I do this, I put this in my productivity because I really feel like if my body feels good, it's so much easier for me to focus. If I am in pain like I am today. I haven't been doing yoga because I've been sick. Like, I have a hard time focusing, right? Because you're kind of like, part of your brain is over here thinking about how uncomfy you feel. And so when I stretch, I feel like I really set myself up for having a comfortable day. That being said, like, I don't think yoga has to happen in the morning in order for it to be effective. Like, if you do yoga at night, if you do yoga in the middle of the day, I don't care if you do yoga at all. I'm just saying, I think it's useful any time of the day that you do it. I just personally like to do it in the morning. So that's for me. At the end of my morning routine, I have what is step 5, which is, I think, potentially the thing that I attribute my focus the most on, my ability to focus the most on, and that is my work startup routine. So I'm about to get into that right now because we're about to start my work day, and we'll just kind of like do it together. It's very simple. We've already started. I've already had coffee this morning. I drink that as I'm doing my morning routine at this point in my life, but I do my work startup routine with a cup of tea. I'm drinking mint tea today. And I keep, even at the office, I keep tea in my desk drawer that I use to drink in my work startup routine. The other supply that I need are my headphones. I use these. I have the AirPod Maxes that I use for working because they are noise canceling, especially if I'm at the office or if people are home. I will use the noise canceling feature, but no one's even here today, but I'll still use headphones because they just help me to focus. They like put me in the zone. The other thing that I use is my bullet journal and my Notion dashboard. We'll talk more about both of these later, but my work start routine is I sit down and I just type up my to-do list in Notion. So typing up my to-do list fresh in Notion helps me so much because I have a task list to pull off of, but also it refreshes my mind on what I have to do that day. I can kind of unconsciously or subconsciously prioritize my tasks in order of importance as I'm going. Also get a sense of what are my top 3 tasks I have to do this day, and I'll start with those tasks first. That being said, let's move on to the last piece of my work startup routine. Right now I'm doing ASMR Pomodoro work with me's. I have a Pomodoro work with me routine on my feed. There's lots of really good ones online. Right now I'm just really into the ASMR ones. I find it relaxing and it makes working feel calm and like a place I want to be. So I'll tell you more about Pomodoro in just a minute, but I'm gonna go ahead and get started on my actual work day, and we'll check back in on my first Pomodoro break with the next tip. If you are new to my channel, then this may be new to you. If you are not new to my channel, I'm sorry if this is redundant. I talk about this all the time, and that is tip number, are we on 6? I think tip number 6, which is the Pomodoro Technique. I'm gonna tell you what it is just in case you haven't heard me say it before. The Pomodoro Technique is where you work in 25-minute sprints. So you work for 25 minutes, you take a 5-minute break, and you do this 4 times. After the 4th time, you take a longer break. So typically for me, I start the workday around 9:30. I finish my full Pomodoro, my four 25-minute sprints around lunchtime, and then I have a nice little lunch, and then I get back to it and I do at least another Pomodoro. Now that being said, I typically have not traditionally taken my breaks. Normally I just kind of like set my timer because that helps me to focus, and I kind of say, okay, activate, time to work. But I haven't really done the break part of the deal. I intend to, but then when I finish that 25 minutes, I think, well, now I'm in flow. I can just kind of keep going, which is great. I find that timers, if like the whole Pomodoro thing feels restrictive to you, just setting a timer for how long you can commit to something maybe you're dreading, like I'll just do 5 minutes of this thing that I don't want to do, can help to just get you into flow so that you can keep going and do more. That being said, now I have challenged myself to do my breaks on my Pomodoro, and it has been so good for me. I feel a lot less burnt out at the end of the day. I feel much more connected to my work. It also pushes me to complete projects in that 25-minute window. So if I don't complete it, you know, it's a little bit disruptive to take a break, but I feel a little bit more like, okay, I have 10 minutes left. I'm gonna focus and really make this count. That being said, it also helps me to get work done that maybe I couldn't do before. So I'll, like, for example, in the Pomodoro I just did, I set the intention to do my, like, write a podcast. Typically a podcast takes me 25 minutes to outline. And so I thought, okay, this is what I'll use this Pomodoro for. And in that 25 minutes, I found that I finished it in like 14 minutes. So I had 10 minutes to spare, and I didn't have any tasks on my to-do list that I felt like would only take me 14 minutes. And so I used that time to do some things that needed to be done. I applied for some programs I've been meaning to apply for. I, you know, went through my email and responded to some things. I took some surveys I promised I would take. And I got some things done that I've kind of been putting off, you know? So I find that really useful. There's some tips for doing Pomodoros to make them most effective. So when you're in that 25 minutes, you're only allowed to focus on the thing you intend to focus on, meaning you set an intention before you start. This is what I hope to get done during that time, and then that's all you're allowed to do. I hide my phone. If I need to, I put it in a drawer or I turn it off. If someone needs something from me, I say, hey, I have however much time I have left in that Pomodoro. I have 8 minutes left in this little sprint. Can I talk to you at that point or help you at that point? And it gives you a clear time when you'll be available to someone, which I find really useful. And so you're not, you know, you don't do anything else. You literally just focus on your task at hand. It's very helpful. Some people do visual timers. That might be useful for you. I like the YouTube video method because it's like an audible focus technique. If you are someone who likes ASMR, I personally find that extremely helpful because it makes working so relaxing that I almost don't want to stop, if that makes sense. So if you like ASMR, that's great. If ASMR makes you want to rip your skin off, like I know it does for a lot of people, they have a lot of videos online with like lo-fi music, focus music, no music at all. It just sounds of like a cafe in the background. There's a lot of options out there if you want the audio for yourself. But anyway, that is that. I am going to take my break. Normally on my break, I really just like go to the bathroom, go breathe some fresh air, and then get back to it. But today I'm trying to finish this book. I have like this much left, and so I'm just gonna read for my 5 minutes. And since I'm standing while I'm working, I'm gonna sit down while I break. That feels really nice. But I'm gonna take my break, and then I will check back in with you on my next Pomodoro break. So this is actually a really good time for me to talk to you about number 7. I had to reference my notes. Number 7 on my list is to plan ahead. And the reason that I'm like stopping in the middle of a Pomodoro to tell you this is because it just saved me. I just had like a real life experience of that saving me. So I have a lot of ways in which I plan ahead. I plan every quarter, every month, every week, every day. Like I'm always planning ahead. Like my main objective is to take care of future me. So right now I'm working on content for next week's Sarah Jane so that I don't ever feel behind, because that's one of the biggest mistakes I made in business in the beginning, was just kind of always being reactive, always having to deal with things in real time. And now I try to be as much ahead as I can so that I'm not in reactive mode, or that's a very rare experience for me. That being said, here are the ways in which I plan ahead. So I use Notion currently to plan like tasks. I have my work week laid out ahead of time, okay? So I have all of like, this is what I typically do on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Then I have on here content ideas. So as ideas for content come to me on all the platforms, I type them into my Notion. I have CEO days, which I do on Thursdays now, that are just everything I do inside of my business. I have admin days, which I do on Monday, which are like everything that I need to do to move the business forward. Switch those. Admin is things I need to do in the business. CEO days is things I need to do to move the day forward. I have any current writing I'm working on. I have a content calendar, which is what I'm going to show you. I have our budgeting. I have my big task list, and then I have my goals for the quarter. So I just want to run that by you. Now, here is what saved me today, is I needed to sit down and make Instagram content for next week. And I am sick. I just don't feel very good today. I'm having a really hard time being creative. I was just like, man, I do not know what I'm gonna make content about next week. Like, I just don't have the like zeal for it right now. But I already planned that. So on Friday last week, I sat down on my content calendar and I wrote out what I wanted all my content to be. So my Instagram content that I need to make today, I planned for myself last week. So I just had so much relief. Like, my day is going to be so much more productive because I'm not having to come up with ideas in real time. I came up with the ideas when I had the energy to do it. And now all I have to do is plug and play. That's life-changing, okay? I do the same thing by having targeted days, right? Every Monday's the same, every Tuesday's the same, essentially, you know, as same as it can be. But then on Fridays, I sit down and I write out in my bullet journal, what do I need to do on Monday? What do I need to do on Tuesday, Wednesday, etc. And that allows me to go into the week with a plan, which means I can go into the weekend knowing that everything that I'm stressed about, everything I'm worried is not going to get done, has a day assigned to it. I know when I'm going to get done. I know when I'm going to respond to things because I do it the same every week. So I'll show you my content calendar, the way that I structure it real quick. I plan my content, my larger content, the month in advance. So I know what my podcast is going to be, I know what my YouTube videos are going to be, but micro content, I sit down and I plan out every week. So let me show you that. So I do 3 podcasts a week, 1 blog a week, and I know what blog I want to write. Then YouTube, I know what YouTube video I'm filming. That's you. Hi. And then Instagram, I wrote out, okay, these are the 3 Instagram posts I want to do this week. Reels, I pretty much have that in rhythm. But then here, I know what stories I'm going to do every single day of the week. I know what podcast themes what podcast I'm going to do that week. I know what content pillars I have for my business. And then here's the kind of content, like grouped together. Here's what I need to write, here's what I need to film, and here's the graphics I need to make. So helpful. Let's talk a little bit about Notion and the love affair I have started with it. Now, I built this dashboard on my iMac, so it's intended for a wider screen. Keep that in mind, because these are normally beautiful like this, but because I'm using it on a smaller screen. But you can make it work for the screen that you use the most, just to keep that in mind. So my Notion dashboard is one of the things that helps me the absolute most with being productive. Here is why. 1, it's beautiful, so I love to be here. It just brings me a lot of joy. So it's like a pleasurable space to be online. And I use it as my hub for everything that I do. So I work from here, meaning I have my daily to-do list, I have my project management tasks, which we've already kind of talked about, goals, big tasks, planning, and then all of my common links that I use, I have here. My podcast tools, my calendar, all of this kind of stuff I have right here. So that means I never really have to type in a website. I just go, okay, I need to schedule content. Let's just go to the Facebook scheduler tool. And then I can just go straight to it. And then when I'm done, I close it and I'm back at my dashboard. Tell you how useful this is for me, because what I used to do is when I would type things in, I would accidentally just type in like facebook.com or like whatever it is I wanted to check that day, like whatever kind of Twitter was one that I would check a lot. I have to log out of Twitter now. But I would just check it all the time, like all these little websites and things, and they would just distract me. And maybe I'd lose 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there, but like over the course of a day, that's a lot of time that could be going to self-care that I'm giving to just nonsense. So having my dashboard just be like, this is my hub. I click out of here. I just click onto the things that I need, and I don't have any frivolous websites there. I don't feel, it's not like super distracting. It's just a focus piece for me, and it's so useful. And then now we're on to my final tip for today's video, and that is to know your hours. What I mean by this is to really pay attention to the hours where you are the most productive and in which ways you are the most productive. I had to like move you guys over, that was distracting me. But what I used to do when I worked one-on-one with clients is I would have them do an inspiration tracker where they write down every single thing that they do throughout a day and how they felt about it. So wake up at 6 a.m., pissed off, trying to work on a blog post at 3 p.m. and really struggling, and paying attention to which hours they feel the most creative, which hours they feel the most social, which hours they want to be left alone, and really knowing themselves and their patterns well enough to create a work schedule around those patterns. Now, listen, I know you work for someone else, it's not always that easy to control your work day, but I will say, like when I worked as a marketing coordinator for that role, I was able to do this for myself. I was able to structure my work day most of the time if I didn't have meetings, right, in a way that allowed this to be the case for myself. I was able to really work in my zones of genius at the times I was available. If I had to schedule a meeting, I would try to schedule it in the afternoon because it wasn't my least productive time of day. Because what often happens is we try to work when the energy is not there and we just pretend. We just sit on the computer, not working, looking like we're working, wasting our own time, basically losing hours of our day. But if we can reorganize and calibrate it to where it's like, all right, in the morning, I know I'm the most productive, so I'm going to do the things that I find hardest to do, or maybe I'm the more creative, I'm going to focus on creative tasks. And then in the afternoon, I know that I struggle, so I'm going to do things that maybe take a little bit more, like socializing, I can't really back out of it as much. So for me, that looks like pretty much like that. Like I could create a lot in the morning. In the afternoons, I mostly do my recording or meetings because the brain power is not as much there, but I can execute a task. I just maybe can't come up with like a new concept or a new idea. That being said, work with you. Everybody's not the same. You're going to see advice online like, you know, you have to wake up and work first thing in the morning. Everybody's more creative in the morning. And I've just found in my work with people that that's not the case, that we all have different times of day that we thrive in different areas, and you should know yours. That being said, even if you're like, I don't have time or energy to track myself like that, Sarah Jane, that doesn't sound fun to me. I understand, I'm a nerd. But at the same time, what you can start to do is pay attention to when you are trying to force a task through that you actually aren't doing. So when are you faking work? When are you actually just toggling between browsers checking your email, checking something else, doing a bunch of different things versus actually doing the task at hand. And if you're having a hard time, what task do you have easier access to right now? And try to focus on the tasks that you have easier access to, and then listen to your body, listen to what you have available to yourself. Which brings me to an additional point that I want to make for you really quickly before we close, and that is, I guess, bonus point 11, which is have hours and times for your email so that you're not always on call. So like one of the main things when I was working with people who were struggling with burnout was that they were just in their email all day long. This is stressful, right? Because that puts you in constant response mode, which makes it very hard to get anything done. And so what I would encourage you to do is to check your email in the morning, check your email at the end of your workday, and really prioritize getting to inbox 0 every single week. This is going to allow you like concentrated chunks of time for work. I would also encourage you in that time when you check your email in the morning to do the following things. This task in the email, what they need from you is going to take you less than 5 minutes. Do it. If it's going to take you more than 5 minutes, add it to your task list for that week. So can you do it today? Can you do it tomorrow? What day of the week can you do it? And then let them know when you're going to handle it. This is such a game changer, friends. It's going to make it so much easier for you to be proactive in the work that you're doing and not reactive, meaning that you get to drive the timeline of your day. You're not just constantly responding, constantly having to be available to everyone and everything all the time. And it's going to actually let you like make progress on the things that you want to work on. Okay, friends, that is it for today. That is our little productive day in the life. I'm gonna go break for lunch, and I will see you next week for another one. Next week, we're gonna do a plan with me video, so stay tuned for that, and I will see ya. I'll see you then. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Let's hang out. We talk all things self-care, creativity, personal growth, and I'd love to hang out with you. I will see you next week. Bye.